Hello again, Misfit Zipalong here. This time I'm going to be talking about EA's press conference. So, they started off with some more Dragon Age Inquisition, with some quick transition fighting again. They were facing a massive sort of dragon foe. They showed the tactical approach that I was talking about, that I had talked about in my Xbox video. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. It's interesting. It's good. There was some pretty good stuff, and I'm not an Xbox fan. The Dragon Age Inquisition video showed really quick switches between characters. They showed different moves, and the dragon, which was flying up high, shooting fire down at them. He landed. He did some attacks on the ground, got back up, flew around again. So the combat looks like it's going to be really good. Hopefully a mix of 2 and 1. The tactical combat looks a lot more fluid and looks a lot more, you can sort of do more with it than you could in 2, and even more than in 1, in Origins, which is cool. Then they showed Mass Effect 4. Well, I mean, the next Mass Effect. They didn't really title it. They just said Mass Effect. It was just the developers talking about what they were going to be doing. They showed some prototype locations, and explained that they're going to be going sort of further on in the story. It's not going to be focused around they're going to be pushing further in the story. They're not going to be going they're not going to be following Commander Shepard anymore. It's going to be a new protagonist, new characters. Possibly there'll be some cameos of other of people from the past games. Who knows? And then they showed a new IP. They talked about a new IP from BioWare, but they didn't really say anything about it. They sort of just talked in vague terms that they were working on something new. That's about it. Then something I'm really excited for is The Sims 4. I'm a huge fan of The Sims, if you didn't know, and it looks awesome. They did what they typically do with their sort of videos, where it's a more cinematic view of the game as opposed to an actual somebody clicking on what they're doing and things like that. But they talked about, other than showing the create a sim really quickly, which is new and intuitive, they sort of took a page from Spore, where you could just drag things to how you wanted, sort of like molding clay, and that's what they're doing with that, with the Create a Sim. You can check out their Create a Sim video and their new build mode, which is a lot quicker and smoother and awesome, and on their YouTube page and website. But it's supposed to have more vibrant, rich neighborhoods. Your Sims are supposed to be affected by how other people act. So if somebody around them is, all upset and things like that, that's gonna in turn possibly make, probably some negative moodlets because there's a negative person around you, things like that. There's also a new feature that they introduced called the gallery mode, where you can in-game just go to the gallery mode, select a house or a sim that somebody else has created, and bring it straight into your game instantly. It'll probably still take a few minutes, based on internet speed and whatnot, but it's essentially a more streamlined version of what they have available on their website, where you can click it to download, then go to the game launcher, install it, things like, it's much less of a process. And also the character died of laughter, so that's kind of interesting that is now a thing where you can die of laughter. I don't think that's ever happened, but it's very supposedly emotional driven, sort of. The Sims are more emotional, they feel more. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is in all the videos I've seen, including today, when they showed the traits, they only showed 3 traits, which in Sims 3 you have 5, potentially 6 if you go to school, 7 if you go to school and have like a master, and you master one of the social trees, or if you, in the regular game, if you master one of the social trees, you get to choose a new perk. So that's a new trait. So I'm curious to see if they're going to keep it with just the 3, or if it's going to actually be 5. Maybe only create a sim with 3, and then you gain more traits as you sort of progress through the game. Yeah. And that comes out September 2nd of this year, which I cannot wait for. Then they showed UFC, which looks really good. They introduced it with a Bruce Lee introduction, where they're, a classic scene from one of his movies, and then went on to sort of talk about Bruce. They had different UFC fighters talk about Bruce Lee in the video, and then the guy came on stage and they showed some gameplay footage that was already 5 rounds into a match, and there was some bruising on Bruce Lee's leg, and just really neat details, and that comes out fairly soon, June 17th, so look forward to that if you're a UFC fan. Then they showed another sports game, NHL 15, which is supposed to have more detailed arenas, more realistic physics for the fights, for the control of the stick, for shoving people out of your way, so that, and more control over the puck as well, so you can get finer sort of shots than you could before. Then Criterion Games talked about a new untitled IP that's open world and first person, and supposed to have various vehicle types such as boats, cars, ATVs, planes, helicopters. You can skydive, you can do all sorts of crazy, interesting things. Then Tiburon Studios came out and talked about PGA Tour, which is now running on the Frostbite 3 engine, which is kind of interesting. And it's a PGA Tour game, just with the graphics that Frostbite 3 allows, as well as fantasy courses. In the video, they showed the player hitting a golf ball over a battleship that was sort of crashing on land or going through. I couldn't tell if it was crashing on land or if it was going through like a narrow strait or something. And it was firing cannons and it was on fire, and it was pretty sweet looking. And that's supposed to come out spring of 2015. Then there's Madden 15, which they talked mostly about the new defense that's going to be there, and the defense is more advanced. You can they have new camera placement for it, so you can sort of see more things in a better way, so you can judge the plays better. you're going to be able to, when you're blocking somebody, you're going to be able to choose which way you push them. So if you want to try and get to the quarterback, you can sort of try and push him that way and then spin and go tackle the quarterback. You can shed blocks more effectively, and they also redesigned how you tackle your opponent when if you're chasing a ball carrier, and the way that they did that is really cool looking and seems a lot more helpful, because it seems like something I'll actually be able to do. I do play Madden games every now and then, and when I do, I always suck at defense. And this looks a lot better because you can plan where you're gonna attack, and it actually shows you like a range increment. So when it's within this small range here, say your character's here, small range here, will allow you to do sort of a brutal tackle, possibly dislodge the ball, cause a fumble. And if it's beyond that point, you sort of just dive in their way, maybe like grab their leg to trip them, or in some fashion, which looks a lot better than previous iterations of Madden, which is awesome. They've been focusing so much on the offensive that I think that addition of this new defense is going to make this Madden game stand out amongst the sort of steady stream of similar Madden titles. And that comes out August 26th. Then they showed Dawngate, which is a MOBA. There's sort of like a meta game to it, I guess, where you can sort of choose the rules for the game and change things up and stuff like that, and things will change based on who people pick and what location you're at and things like that. I guess. I didn't really understand it too much. I don't play MOBAs. Then they showed off the highly anticipated Mirror's Edge 2, which they didn't they did the same thing they sort of did with Mass Effect 4, where they just showed like the developers talking about it and some prototype footage of Faith climbing up walls and things like that. They said there are going to be there's an enhanced move set, so you can do more things. You can traverse the world in more ways. The combat looked a lot more fluid. It was really focused on quick, high velocity strikes, so that hopefully you can go through the world in more ways than I found it really difficult in Mirror's Edge 1 to fight your way through anything. You sort of just had to run away, which really kind of sucked. And Faith has also had sort of a redesign. She still looks like Faith. It's not like what they did with Infamous 2 in their redesign, but they sort of added a few touches to it, made her sort of, she still wears the black, white, and the red glove, red shoes, but she sort of has grown up, I guess, and she even, I guess, gets her eye tattooed at some point for a very specific reason. They didn't say, but they said it was for a reason. It was a reason to sort of to stand up, to stand for. So that'll be interesting to see how that develops in the future. No release date on that. Hopefully end of year 2015 to early 2016, because we have been waiting for this game for quite a while. Then they talked about FIFA 15, which supposedly has emotional intelligence, and the players have memories that will affect, I guess, how they play. Not sure exactly how that's going to work. The graphics looked fantastic. Like, the grass looked like crisp, wet grass because it was raining in the field that they're playing on. they enhance, as they always do, they enhance, ball physics, regular physics, ball control. There's going to be better sort of one-on-one moments where you can sort of push shy people away, with your shoulder and things like that. You don't want to elbow and get, carded. But it looks really good. I might actually pick this one up. And the turf actually sort of wears away, and you get actual you can see footprints and things like that in it. And it degrades over time as you're playing a match, especially if it's raining. You cause a lot more mudslides and things like that when you're doing your aggressive tackles and you're just running around the field, falling over, things like that. It should be a really good installment in the FIFA franchise. They ended the show as I had guessed they would, with Battlefield Hardline. Instead of doing sort of what Call of Duty is doing and just continuing with different militaristic ideas, they're focusing more on cops and robbers, basically. It was, of course, lots of mass destruction and minute destruction, things like that. Of course, that the Frostbite 3 allows, and there was a lot of fluid movements, a lot of obviously killing. They were escaping from the police, and they sort of switched back and forth between the police perspective and the robber's perspective, which looked really interesting. Then, shortly after the Ubisoft press conference, they showed some 16 vs 16 multiplayer of a heist match and another match. I only watched the heist match. And it looks good. It does. It's just, I mean, there was a lot of verticality to the map. There was people driving around in vehicles to get places, and it was basically, the concept was sort of a capture the flag sort of thing, except with a briefcase full of, I would imagine, money or something that the robbers had to collect and take to an extraction point, which is on the top of a roof, and they were playing on top of a roof in LA. It was sort of cool because they switched cameras occasionally, and they also had two drop-off points, and the robbers had 100 tickets, and once those tickets ran out, they sort of had until I'm pretty sure the tickets meant lives. And once there were no lives left and all the robbers were dead, they would lose. But whereas the cops had an infinite amount of lives, and they ended up winning that match. It looked really cool. And they also announced that as of starting today, all PlayStation 4 and Origin owners of Battlefield 4 can download the beta for Battlefield Hardline and have access to that beta, to the heist mode and the other mode. All in all, it was a pretty good press conference. A lot of interesting. They showed a lot of interesting things, and it's quite enjoyable. The hour sort of just flew by. And so yeah, that is it for EA. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you've watched other videos, come back here. Let me know what you think of the different gameplay and things that they showed. So yeah, Misfit Gamers Belong, signing out.